And now, listeners, something different. For your listening pleasure, we take you to the tropical island of Papua New Guinea and continue following the adventures of explorer Valerie Robyns and skipper Sally Sullivan in The Adventures of Val and Sal, Episode 2, The Battle of the Coral Sea.
This is Sally Sullivan, and you're listening to On the Waters. I'm here at the docks in Port Moresby, nearly ready to set sail in search of pilot whales. I've been hearing a lot of reports about these beautiful creatures spending their time in the nearby Solomon Islands, and I want to finally get a peek for myself.
Well, if it isn't Sally Sullivan.
Oh my goodness, if my eyes don't mistake me, it is Australian explorer Valerie Robyns.
That's right.
Gosh, I haven't seen you since that wild ordeal with the waterfall. What have you been up to?
I've been giving lectures back in Brisbane about that underground river I found. Hoping to find someone to finance a proper expedition. The experts called me absurd, but what else is new? Rest assured, I'll get that finding one way or another.
What are you doing instead to get funding?
Back in Brisbane, I got a hold of the latest Pacifica Geographica magazine, and I read all about that Pacific bird photo contest. I know if I can just get a photograph of a winking owl, I am sure to win.
It's hard enough to find an owl around here, let alone a winking one.
It doesn't need to wink, but I do need to know where I can find one. They're also called barking owls, apparently. Do you know anything about them?
Oh, afraid not. I'm more focused on the critters in the water or along the shore. I will go ask Walter Klondike at the CRN outpost. He has a keen interest in birds of all types.
Thanks, Sally. Where are you headed off to?
I'm just about to set sail for the Solomon Islands. I've been hearing so much about the pods of pilot whales out there, and I've just got to see some of that majestic activity.
Well, happy sailing to you, Sally.
Happy trails to you, Val. Whale listeners, it is time to set sail and find us some whales. This is Sally Sullivan, signing off.
Listening to the Civilian Radio Network from our Pacific Outpost. This is Walter Klondike bringing you some news.
Hello, Walter.
Oh, hello. If it isn't Valerie Robyns. Weren't you in Brisbane?
Yes, I was. But now I'm back in New Guinea and on the hunt for something rare and feathery. Sally Sullivan tells me you're a bird watcher, is that right?
Yes, she's right. I'm a bird watcher. But we much prefer calling it birding, and refer to ourselves as birders.
All right, then. Well, I need to get a photograph of a barking owl. Do you or any of your birder friends know where one could find such an elusive creature?
The barking owl. Yes, I've only seen them in the drier parts of the forest, sometimes around tiny lakes or ponds. I know one lake, Lake Aru Aru, some 60 or so miles from here, has the conditions you need to find one.
I'll find that on a map and head there immediately.
Well, be careful. It's nothing more than a pack mule trail.
I appreciate your concern, but how about we leave the exploring to me and the news reporting to you?
I'll keep that in mind, Val. Now then, back to the news. A report just crossed my desk, and it says, "All right, listeners, the rumors were true. We have reports of an incoming Japanese naval invasion. They are still far from Port Moresby, but the British base at Tulagi in the Solomon Islands has been evacuated as arrival of the initial phase of the invasion force is considered imminent. More on this as I receive news, but for now, this is Walter Klondike signing off.
Wait a minute. Did you just say the invasion force is headed into the Solomon Islands?
Yes, that's all the report says.
Walter, Sally is sailing there right now.
Really? What for?
She went whale watching.
Ah, well, I don't blame her. I keep hearing how the pods of pilot whales are incredible right now.
Right, well, those pilot whales might pilot poor Sally right into a bunch of enemy ships.
I can't leave the outpost, otherwise I fly us to her in my seaplane.
You have a seaplane, Walter?
Yes, just down the road at an isolated dock. But with these reports coming in about an invasion, I can't justify leaving the outpost for long.
Well, I can fly.
You can fly?
That's right. Ever since I was tall enough to see above a steering yoke.
Well, then let's go. I'll get the plane ready. Listeners, I'll be back shortly. This is Walter Klondike signing off.
This is On the Waters with Sally Sullivan. I have just finished crossing the Coral Sea from New Guinea into the Solomon Islands. My destination? Tulagi, a small island, but supposedly one of the best spots to see pilot whales. Did you know that the Solomon Islands are comprised of over 900 islands? Well, if you did know that, good for you. And if you didn't, now you know something new. This is Sally Sullivan, signing off.
Valerie Robyns here with Walter Klondike, who's getting his seaplane ready before I fly it, in the hopes of finding Sally Sullivan before she finds an invading force of Japanese naval ships.
Well, here she is, my seaplane.
Well, this is a rusty bucket of bolts if I've ever seen one.
I'm a volunteer radio operator in the middle of the South Pacific. How nice of a plane do you expect me to have?
Well, does it fly?
She flies great. She's touchy, but she flies great.
And, wait a minute, Walter. Are those giant red circles crudely painted on the wings? Why is this disguised as a Japanese plane?
Ah, that. Yes, well, I sort of have an arrangement with one of the locals on the Japanese-occupied side of New Guinea. They give me copies of the newspapers from Japan, and I give them packs of cigarettes.
Surely the Navy knows something about this.
The Navy are the ones that provide the cigarettes. Anyways, don't worry about the paint job. It'll keep you safer if you run into an invasion force out in the Solomons.
Oh, good point.
But if you do run into enemy fire, try and keep the gunfire off the plane's floats. I much prefer a seaplane that can actually land on the sea.
Right, I better get going.
Then good luck, and don't crash my plane.
Sally, if you're hearing this, then please try and turn around, and I'll rendezvous with you in the Solomon Sea. This is Val, signing off.
This is Sally Sullivan, and I found the whales I've heard so much about. Pilot whales. Not as famous as the handsome humpback, but just as majestic. I've been following them from a fair distance, and they seem to be heading towards a series of ships on the horizon.
Sally Sullivan, come in, Sally. This is Valerie Robyns. Come in, Sally.
Oh my goodness, it's Valerie Robyns. Hello. Where are you radioing from?
I borrowed Walter's seaplane to find you. Are you all right?
Oh, you betcha. I've been following these whales towards another set of ships.
Sally, those ships are part of a Japanese invasion force. You need to turn around.
Oh no. Okay, I'll turn Sal around and get out of here right quick.
This is the radio comms officer of the USS Yorktown.
Hello, my name is Sally Sullivan.
And I am Explorer Valerie Robyns.
I don't care who you are. This is an active military zone. For your own safety, I advise you to get out of the Solomons immediately. There's an invasion force inbound.
Yes, I know. I see them, and I'm currently turning my boat around. She's an old steam schooner and a little slow, though.
There is no time. We have Allied attack planes on their way to that position.
Sally, I'll land this seaplane and pick you up straight away.
But what about my boat?
Hopefully the attack planes miss it. I'll swing around and sit down on your starboard side, over and out.
Well, Val, better land that plane quick before they start dropping bombs around here. Oh my goodness. All I wanted was to see some whales. I better go and get ready to jump on this plane Val is landing. This is Sally Sullivan signing off. This is Sally Sullivan reporting in safe and sound in a very rickety plane. What do you have to say for everything, Val?
While it is great we're safe from an active battle zone for now, we're also severely low on fuel. At the rate we're going, I'm not sure we can make it back to New Guinea.
At least it's a seaplane. We can land on the water if we need to.
True, but I don't want to be sitting ducks with a Japanese invasion force out at sea. Surely they have a full regiment of aircraft carriers and destroyers. We'd be spotted eventually.
Oh, speaking of aircraft carriers, I just spotted one down there.
Where? Oh, I see it. Looks like the Yorktown. I'll radio them. Maybe they'll let us land and refuel. USS Yorktown. Come in, USS Yorktown. No answer. They must be radio silent. Maybe they'll let us land. I'll lower our altitude a bit and get closer. Crikey! I forgot this plane is painted in enemy colors.
Get us out of here, Valerie.
I'm working on it, Sally. This is Valerie Robyns calling into the Civilian Radio Network, Port Moresby, or anyone listening. We are in New Guinea airspace and just made it over the Owen Stanley Mountains, but we are running on fumes. There's no possibility of reaching an airstrip in time.
Val, look, there's a lake down there.
Look at that, you're right. Well, I'll see about landing down there.
we landed surprisingly smoother than I anticipated.
Is that a crack at my flying skills?
No, a compliment. But now what? We must be many miles from Port Moresby, and I don't see a lot of supplies in this plane.
I didn't see any other lakes or bodies of water around here, so I bet there's got to be a trail nearby. We can rest here a bit and let the plane drift gently to shore.
I don't think we have time for that.
Why's that?
The plane appears to be sinking.
Oh, you're right. The Yorktown's guns must have punctured the plane floats.
Oh, we better get going.
Shh. Did you hear that?
Hear what?
That. It's a barking owl, Sally. I just need to get a picture of it. I can see it right there on that branch.
Right. But Val, the plane is sinking.
I don't want to scare it off. It'll only take a sec. There! Ha! I'm sure to get into Pacifica Geographica now.
Let's go. Sally Sullivan here, but this is not On the Waters. I am deep in the New Guinea jungle with Val, attempting to trek to Port Moresby. She says this is the right way, but my estimation says the trail we're on is taking us the opposite direction we want to go.
It was the only trail.
She is right. It was the only trail. I'll keep anyone listening apprised as we make our way through the rainforest. Until then, this is Sally Sullivan, signing off.
This is On Walkabout with Valerie Robyns. We've managed to follow a trail from the sunken plain to Kokoda, a village very far away from where we want to be. But I am pleased to say that just outside the village is an Allied airstrip. I'm waiting to talk with an Australian foot soldier about flying us back to Port Moresby now. Oh, and here he comes.
Hello there. So you landed your plane in that lake on the other side of the ridge? We could spare a little fuel to get you up and running again.
No, you see, after landing on the lake, our plane, sunk.
Oh, I see. Fuel won't do you any good now, will it? How about we give you two a lift on the next supply plane back to Port Moresby?
Hear that, Sally? We'll be back to Moresby in no time. This is Val, signing off.
You're listening to Pacific Outpost on the Civilian Radio Network. It's been quite an arduous time here in Port Moresby, and the possibility of invasion has been in the air. But I am relieved to report that the Battle of the Coral Sea has ended. It isn't entirely clear who won, but...
Hello, Walter. Look who I have with me.
Oh, look, it's Sally Sullivan. Great to see you two all right. How's my plane? You didn't crash it, did you?
Well, I did no such thing.
That's true. She didn't crash it.
Good, good. So, where is it? I didn't hear it fly in.
Well, although I didn't crash the plane, it did end up sinking.
Sinking? My floating seaplane sunk?
Yes, and quite a remote lake too.
How did you manage to make a floating seaplane sink?
Well, I didn't. It was the bullet holes we got from the USS Yorktown that caused the floats to take on water. They shot at us because someone decided to disguise their plane as the enemy.
Well, I suppose ultimately it's more important that you two weren't hurt. Is your boat all right, Sally?
I don't know. I had to leave it all by itself.
I promise, Sally, we will find your boat and get you back on the open sea.
Thanks, Val. But who knows when we can even begin looking for it with this battle going on.
Actually, I was just reporting on that very subject. As I was saying, listeners, the Battle of the Coral Sea is over. It isn't clear who is the victor, but considering the Allies prevented a sea invasion of Port Moresby, I'd call it a victory. From CRN's Pacific Outpost in New Guinea, this is Walter Klondike.
Valerie Robyns.
And Sally Sullivan.
Signing off for now.